Okay, this is for Math 8. We are doing a playing card equations, and you're going to be using a deck of playing cards to make the equations and to solve them. So first off, in a deck of cards, we have black cards and red cards, and the black cards in this case are going to be positive numbers. The red cards are going to be negative numbers. Then, besides the black and red cards, you have different suits, which won't matter in this game, but you have clubs, diamonds, spades, and hearts. But in this case, you won't need to know those suits. But there's also what we call face cards. And face cards are the ones, of course, that have faces on them. And you have queen, jack, and a king. Now, in this case, for this game, jacks are going to equal 11, queens are going to equal 12, and kings are going to equal 13. So if you draw a red jack, that's going to be a negative 11 when you write your equation. When you draw a black queen, it's going to be a positive 12. A black king, positive 13. Then we also have aces. So if you have an ace, if you draw an ace, then you can choose if you want to have that ace be either a 1 or 11, and you pick which one. The beauty of this is if you can change for every equation. Once you pick 1 for ace, you don't have to keep it the 1 the whole time. The next equation, if you draw it again, then you can make that 11. If your deck has jokers, which some of them do, and I'm not going to take the time to take them out, so the jokers, if you get that, that's going to equal 0. So if you have a deck that has jokers, that might happen. So what's going to happen is you have to pay attention to each set because the set is going to change and the format's going to change. So when I say the variable will change locations after each set of equations, that's what I mean. So you can pay attention to your variable. The x, we kept it simple to where x is your variable the whole time. So let's play an example one. So let's say the example is two-step equations with multiplication. You're going to use 3 cards. Now, and we're going to write it in this format. AX plus B equals C. My A, B, and C represents the numbers of the cards. So for example, my first card, okay, is a red 7. My second card, ooh, look at that, black jack, of course it's stacked, red 4. So when I flip those 3 cards over, that's my cards. Now you're going to be playing with a group of 2 or 3 people. You're not all writing down the same equation. You're each doing your own. So this is my equation. I'm going to write down negative 7x plus 11 equals a negative 4. And then I'm going to solve it. So what's happening here is my A was a negative 7. So I should have had this. A, negative 7. B is a positive 11. And C is a negative 4. And then you write your equation. So because it's in this format. The plus just means if that's a negative number, you're just going to put a negative instead of you're going to subtract instead of a positive. So a negative 7x plus 11 equals a negative 4. Now your order of operations happen. Subtract 11, divide by negative 7. When this happens, this is saying a negative 15 divided by a negative 7. You may leave it as a fraction, as a simplified fraction. Do not feel like don't change it to a decimal. So you really shouldn't be using calculators. You do not need to change this to a decimal next year in algebra. So a negative divided by a negative, though, will be a positive. So when you play this, you're going to get, like I said, you're going to get in groups of 2 or 3. You are going to stay in the room. You are not going out into the hall, as I left yesterday not to go out in the hall, but that's not your guys' fault. But some of you were extra loud, so no, you're not going out in the hall today. So if you're doing 2 or 3 people, the first person flips over. Ooh, there's a joker. Look at that. So that's a negative 13, 0. Let's do a negative 1. So then write that down and set it up. Pay attention to this next set, A plus X divided by B equals C. A lot of people, the hour earlier than you, earlier today, were getting that set up incorrectly. So pay attention to your equation. You are completing as many as you can today. You will be giving this to the substitute today, and I will be looking for completion and accuracy. So you need to be having all your work and accurate. So that is what you're doing today. Thank you.